I don't know how it happened, but more books showed up at my house this week, and I don't know how to stop it. And I'm not exactly asking for help, but yeah, they just keep coming. This could easily be like part one of seven when it comes to book mail. But these are really excellent, and I've started a few of these already. I've got a few things to say about a couple of them, and this one right here is one I finished last month, and I've got something of a podcast announcement. But I won't keep you guys waiting. I'll just dive into book number one. And so, okay, so this one showed up a couple days ago. This is Stronger Than Yesterday by Michael Matthews. And at this point, I will read basically anything that this man puts out. And the first book of his I read last year, I believe, like early last year. It's called The Little Black Book of Workout Motivation. And I have it here somewhere, but I couldn't find it for this video. But the way I think of that book is like if the best parts of Jordan Peterson wrote a fitness book, like he'd write something like The Little Black Book of Workout Motivation. And so when I saw that he was coming out with this next one, Stronger Than Yesterday, it's just an instant, like it's like a no decision, like just it's just an automatic. I will buy this and I will read it. I will like it. Decision for me, right? And I'm on like the first maybe page 15 of this daily reader. So it's got 169 insights for transforming your body, mind, and motivation. And like just as I expected, it's just excellent already. And so Stronger Than Yesterday, Michael Matthews. And so this next one is another fitness book, and it's called Diary of a Gym Addict by Tom Moss. And what's really cool about him is that he's a natural bodybuilder just like me. And so he's not like one of these like super like enhanced, like taking a bunch of gear, like not one of those guys who like, I mean, sometimes you can absolutely take advice from like the biggest guy at the gym, but a lot of times like they got that big from doing something else, right? And so maybe you don't want that. Maybe you just want to go as far as you can naturally, right? And so this is where people like Tom really come in. And again, I just started this. I'm a little bit behind on my reading, right? But I'm on page like 10, and it's really really good so far. And I think what's going to be the strongest parts of this book is that just the parts where he talks about the fitness industry and kind of what's wrong with it and what needs to kind of improve. And I think we need more people like Tom. And this is like initial impression, but that's just the sense that I get. Right, like there's not a whole lot of like, sensationalism or like this is like the new hot thing that you have to try. And like he's not gonna, and he's not even a fitness influencer himself, right? And I mean, sure, like I put like photos of myself, at the gym or like working out stuff like that. But I'm not a fitness influencer either, right? But we're doing the best we can. We learn as much as we can about how to work out and recover and eat the best way, kind of get the best results as we can naturally, and we kind of share what we've learned. And that's what this book is. And it covers even more ground than that too, but I just haven't gotten that far. But it's really really good so far. And then this one, it's called Better and Better by Bob Stiller. And what's cool about him is so he built Keurig Green Mountain Coffee into this billion-dollar company, right? Which is like pretty damn cool on its own. But the way he did that is really spectacular as well. So he's built this billion-dollar company, just like super successful, publicly traded, like doing really well. But he also like made it a fantastic place to work, and like which is not easy. Like everybody talks about like workplace culture, and not many people get it to the degree that Bob Stiller gets it. And not only that, like he built this massive company that people love working at, but he also used all of it, like his profits and employees themselves. They would get involved in the community, and they just make the entire like their community and the entire world better, like better and better for like this company having existed, right? And also now, okay, so he sent me some Green Mountain coffee, but like I'm under no obligation to tell you that this coffee is amazing. This coffee is amazing. Anyway, I love Green Mountain coffee. It's really good, and it's like I don't have to say that. Like it's not like they're not. Yeah. Anyways, it's a real opinion. Green Mountain coffee is really good. So Better and Better. And all of these, by the way, are down in the video description. So I'll leave links. And actually, the Michael Matthews book, the one I mentioned previously, the Little Black Book of Workout Motivation, I've got a full breakdown of that book, all the key ideas, takeaways, action steps, everything like that. And it's totally for free. You can just read it yourself, and you don't need to put in your email address or anything like that. You can join my newsletter. It's called The Reading Life. Again, all the links down there, and like $4,700 100 people read this newsletter to get all my best book recommendations and stuff like that. But to read that breakdown, and I'll put some other good like book related stuff that you guys might like, including my full reading list and all that stuff. You don't need to put in your email address to check that out. You can just have it, read it, and that's all I have to say about that. So this next book, this is one I finished about a month ago, maybe, and it's called Retirement Money Secrets by Steve Selengut. And so it's really good because, hey, I don't finish bad books. Like, if I'm talking about a book on YouTube or like if I recommend it to my newsletter, it's because it's good. Like, I don't. Life's too short to waste your time reading bad books. So whenever I finish a book cover to cover and add it to my list of like finished books, you can like rest assured that it's actually good, or at least I thought it was worth finishing, right? And I mean, at this point, I've finished 1,326, I believe, 1,327 books cover to cover with detailed notes for every single one of them. And like, that's a time commitment, right? And like, I know that there are other fantastic books that I could be reading. So like, I don't waste time on bad books. So I finished this and I took detailed notes, and I actually also invited him onto my podcast, which episode has not released yet. And podcast episodes are just different slightly to edit than YouTube videos. And I just honestly, like, it's my fault completely for not having this up already. We recorded it like a month ago or 3 weeks ago or something like that. That's all on me for not having it out already. But on this channel, Steve and I are going to be talking about investing. So a little bit about him to kind of like, get you excited for the episode. When he sold his company, like he's been investing professionally for decades, right? But when he sold his company, he had $110 million in assets under management, and so he was investing $110 million of other people's money through his firm, right? And he's been doing this for decades, ever since like the 70s or whatever. So he's been doing it for a long time. He's learned a thing or two when it comes to investing, and me and him sit down for like 45 minutes, talk about his best strategies. One thing he kind of he favors this investment vehicle called closed-end funds, or CEFs, which I had never heard of before reading this book, right? So obviously I invest in index funds and crypto and things like that. I've got some REITs, real estate investment trusts, right? But I'd never even heard of CEFs, right? And so he was kind of breaking down this whole investment vehicle and how it kind of fits into his whole strategy and just how it works for his clients. And it's all in this book, Retirement Money Secrets. And so Steve and I will be talking on the podcast on this channel in maybe a couple of days. That episode will be out. So Retirement Money Secrets. All right, last two books here, and the second last one is called Living Young, Dying Old by John A. Brink. And he is just like, he's one of those just ultra impressive dudes. And like, I've really enjoyed learning more about him. And again, I'm on maybe chapter 1 of this book. I'm not that far along. It just showed up at my house maybe a couple days ago. But he's such an impressive person. He's 83 years old. He might even be the oldest. Possibly, I don't want to say for sure, but he's one of the oldest competitive bodybuilders in Canada, right? And I mean, probably in North America, right? So 83 years old, still like riding his motorcycle, like just throwing weights around. He actually reminds me of one of my favorite neuroscientists ever, Oliver Sacks. And I won't dive into a big tangent about Oliver Sacks, but he's got some of my favorite books like ever, and some really popular ones about the brain and just like brain injuries. And he's got one. It's called "The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat," and like that is just super widely acclaimed, just being just a really really great book. And I have not read that one yet. However, I did read a bunch of others, of course, but specifically his book called "On the Move," and it's his memoir of basically his entire career as a scientist, and his life story is really really cool. But that guy, so Oliver Sacks, reminds me of this guy, John Brink. And so, yeah, Living Young, Dying Old. I'm really looking forward to making more progress in this one. And he's got a few other books that look really, really good too. So I'm going to pick those up as well. And then the last book, we've got Good Work by Paul Millerd. And this is another guy, I will read like anything that he puts out. This is the second book of his that I've read. And the first one was The Pathless Path that I read in late 2022, I believe. And so it's all about like the search for meaningful work and what he's come to call good work. And what's I don't know what's rare about him, I guess you could say, and it is rare how closely and detailed he pays attention to how different modes of work, different careers, like vocations, activities, like everything that he does in terms of like earning money and surviving, like making a living and doing great work and just everything like that. That whole search, he really does an excellent job of monitoring his own feelings and reactions to that work, whether they light him up or they kind of shut down his I don't want to say will to live, but like you know what I mean, like whether it kind of brings him to life or kind of deadens him in some way, right? And this guy, I mean, this is a guy who gave up a very like financially lucrative career as a consultant. He was with McKinsey for a few years, and like his career path, he's got actually in this book, I'm not going to try and find it right now, but he's got a graph basically about his sort of expected earnings for the years after if he had stayed at that job, and compared to what he earned as a writer, like going full time and like teaching online courses and stuff like that, like what he does now. And so it's interesting because the graph is like the first couple of years of him doing his own thing, he just slashed his income, his earning potential, like just like not even in half, he just like decimated it, right? And if he had stayed on that path, like he had he had a job that every single person, not every person, but like a lot of people would love to have, at least from a financial perspective, right? So he was set to make like $200,000 the next year, and like 275,000 the year after that, and these numbers are made up, but they're pretty damn close. Like they're like in the high six or mid six figures, right? And like he would have made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year every single year up until he chose to quit. But at the same time, he saw just everyone around him who is like at that age, like who had stayed, they were like so just fucking dead inside that it wasn't worth it. Like he literally like he quit because it was literally making him sick, and like I don't think he would have survived, and I don't say that lightly. Like I don't think he would have survived. Like he's in his 30s now. I think he's like 33, 34. Maybe he's older than that now. But I don't think he would have survived into his 50s if he had stayed, and the money just would not be enough. And so these books are kind of his search for more, and like for meaningful, for good work. And I cannot say enough good things about The Pathless Path. And like I've written a whole breakdown of that book. Again, it's down in the video description. You can just read it for free, and you don't have to put in your email address or anything. And then this one, Good Work, I finished it I think last week. Obviously, I do a ton of reading every single year, and this year is my 11th straight year, I think, of reading more than 100 books every single year. So I'm at 1,300 books ever since 2014. So I've been reading 100 books a year every year for the last 11 years. And in this video right here, I give one of my absolute best tips, like one of like the most essential things that I can pass along to you if you want to get more reading done as well. So watch that video right now. Thanks for watching this one, and always remember, bookmarks are for quitters.
I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable,